Hello, hello, hello. If you can hear me loud and clear, please do me a favor. Somebody give me a thumbs up if you can hear me loud and clear. Please, because I don't want to go too far until I see one, and I'll get to that in a moment. So, if anyone out there is listening, please give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Just anytime, and anytime will do. It's, it could be interesting. I might say loud and clear. That's all I want to hear. If that's the case, then let's do it. Yes, I'm trying out. I got a new mic, and I'm just not that I doubted it for 1 second. I'm being told that it's working fine, but I just wanted to check because you know how these things can go wrong. Audio can be a doozy, can't it? So, Whiskey Lovers Society, let's get into the chat. Whiskey Lovers Society, I seen had checked. I think this was around the time. So if you're in, Kurt, anyway, good to see you. Whiskey Works, Graham, hello, my friend. Donner Pass, Tim, good to see you. Lee J, good to see you. Fernando, I've had my first my first I'm going to say super chat, right? But I'm going to give this a name. And Graham, thank you very, very much, my friend. Thank you, very much appreciate it. I'll get back to you in a moment as well. But I'm going to call it the Bottle Fund, all right? Because like everything else, any money, anything that comes in from Patreon, anything all goes back into whiskey in some shape or form, be it into the channel, be it into a bottle itself or some balls. So Graham, thank you. That is very much appreciated. That is the first of the bottle fund, and that's the first week of 50 over. Yes, we'll get to that in a moment. Graham, thank you, my friend. Whiskey Straight Aldown, hello, buddy. The Doc, McCallum Fine and Rare, Greg's Whiskey Guy, Christopher Malloy, Peter Hunt, Peterhead Frank, how are you, buddy? Whiskey Wonder, a new name. I've been having a bit of off-screen chats with Whiskey Wonder, been around. I think he's new, slightly relatively new to the community. That's who I'm thinking of. So welcome, Whiskey Wonder, Jimmy Jazz, Matthew, can't remember your second name, man. Whiskey Wims, Stuart, I'll get to you in a while. I actually forgot to bring your coin in with me tonight. Mark Slinger, hello. Fernando, did I mention you earlier? Dez is in, David Owens in. Let's see. Oh, it's a good crowd. Whiskey Papa No Tango. Hello, Neil Laverty. How are you, buddy? So, yeah, good crowd and good to see for tonight's live stream. And yes, some things happened. Got a new mic for my birthday. And I wanted to just say a thank you while I'm here for all the lovely comments that I got. It was my, as the father-in-law keeps saying, I hit the bullseye last week. It was the big 5-0, and I got some lovely messages across the social medias and some lovely things. And I mean, Graham, Whiskey Works Graham here, I was blown away. Graham and I share a birthday, and it was just, Graham sent me a bottle of Glencairns 12-year-old, and we all know how rare they are. So Graham, thank you, my friend, and happy birthday to you as well again. So yeah, it's been a big old week and a very enjoyable week. Menno is in, good to see you, Menno. And the dog's saying here, congrats on 1100 subs. Yeah, that's the other thing. It's rolling on here. It's incredible. This all just seems to roll on and just get bigger and bigger. Bill Monteith is in. Bill, hello, my friend. Yeah, Greg's Whiskey Guide. It is our month, Greg, because I know Greg celebrated on the 10th, I believe. Us Scorpios all have to stick together. Let's see. Yes, right. There's another reason, another purpose for this tonight. I haven't done a blind challenge for quite some time. And I went into this evening. All day, I've been very excited for this. Now, I'm always excited about doing my live streams. Of course I am. But there was just something I had a buzz about this the whole time for myself personally. So hang around and watch that excitement turn into trepidation and later regret, probably, because, well, let's explain. shall we? Here's how this works. I asked my wife, this wasn't a new idea, I don't believe. It's not fully a new idea anyway, because I know people do have their own wee takes and things. And like, I mean, I certainly know Toby from Whiskey Share does his Advent. I think it's done a couple of years, maybe Advent calendars where he's basically just been blind picks out of samples and stuff like that there. So, you know, there's people have their own takes in these things. Daniel Vermaas is in. Daniel, how are you, buddy? So yeah. So my take, this is the way I've decided to do this. I asked Mrs. Novice, as we know her, to dip in to the sample box and the box that I have currently, there's probably about 30 samples in it, and asked her to randomly pick 6 samples and jot them down what they were, but pour 3 of them. And the idea is that all of those samples in that box, and I know this for a fact, that all of those samples I haven't had, because I don't mix samples in. People do tend, every now and again, people will send samples of stuff that I've already got. It's just natural because, you know, they don't know what I have or what I have in the cabinets or even in the samples that I've tried, etc. So every now and again, a sample will come in, but I'll never put it into the sample selection box for Jim's Monday Malt samples, because I want to try something new. I want to try something that I haven't had before. Jeff Whiskies in. Good to see you, Jeff. So out of that sample box, it was a case of pick 6 samples and pour 3. And I will try and figure out if I try just to figure out what those, see if I can work my way down to 3. So what I did do, obviously, was I'll give you the 6 samples, because obviously I needed to know what the 6 samples were, because otherwise I would just be fooling around in the dark forever. So the 6 samples that my wife picked out were a Bimber ex-bourbon oak casks batch number 3, bottle of 51%. I know I'll go back in later. I haven't even got I didn't even bring the box in with me tonight. I just left the box in the other room where she picked them. So I wouldn't be tempted to look or anything, you know. So I have no idea who even right away. I have no idea who sent me these samples. Some of them have an idea, but I would be guessing. So it could either be a Bimber ex-bourbon oak cask, batch number 3, 51.6%. Bimber I have had a sample of prior, maybe a couple of samples. So I don't have a lot of experience with it. Adelphi Ben Nevis 2015, 5-year-old, bottle of 58.9%. I have not had any Ben Nevis. Ben Nevis would be new to me completely, so I would be guessing there. Glenfarclas 12-year-old, and whenever I started to write this down, whenever I was typing this out earlier on, and when I say earlier, I only typed this out about an hour ago, so this is all still relatively new to me. So the Glenfarclas 12-year-old secret bottle shop, and Christopher Malloy, it is one name. I don't know how I actually did that. I genuinely don't know how I did that. There was the nervousness kicking in already. I know it's one name. So that Glenfarclas, how did I do that? Muppet. As soon as I started writing it, I thought I've had the 12-year-old, and then it was a case of it's an independent bottling. McNean batch 2. Once again, I think I've had a sample of the first batch. So, and it literally came off a sample. So there could be a bit of guesswork there. Long Row Red. Now I know what ones I hope my wife has picked, and this would be one of them. The Long Row Red, the Malbec 10-year-old. I think I have had a sample of one of the Long Row Reds, but I can't remember. And if I did, and I would imagine even there's a good chance that this sample is from Stuart Whiskey Whims. It could be. Getting a lot of comments here about having not had Ben Nevis. Just hasn't come round. I've Luna Aaron's in, by the way. Luna, you've probably come at a right point. Just even the Ben Nevis 10, the recent release of the Ben Nevis 10, I've been meaning to get it. And I probably will, but It's just something that's got past me. I know you've sort of got to catch them all, but doesn't always happen. And finally, what do I have here? The Bushmills Causeway Collection. And yet again, I'm sort of hoping she might have put that in there. I just hope, for the simple fact that I haven't tried that Causeway Collection, the 95 one. So it would be delightful to try that. So we're there. That's where we are for now. Billy Boy Knight, good to see you, buddy. Let's get stuck in. But before we get stuck into that, I want to introduce you to something else that I've done in this case. Just to see, just so look, it's the dram can. Now, what the dram can is basically this is you can see now physically what I'm doing. So this is what's in front of me. I have 3 black Glencairns, so I can't see color or anything else. Not that would probably give me a whole lot anyway. And they're numbered, and yeah, I've got Roy's caps on tonight. As I said earlier, Stuart, I meant to bring yours in. Whiskey Lover Society is in. Good to see you here. So, shall we? And as you can see, there's nothing I not know. If you want to at any point, just ask, and there are the 6 whiskies. I'll be calling them up quite a bit, because I'll actually do it like this, because I don't even have them written down here what the 6 drams are. So I'll literally be hooking and poking. So this could be interesting. Let's go with number 1. Haven't opened these. These have been capped since Mrs. Nevis poured them. So cheers. This is number 1. I'll just be nosing for a moment. Right, and I will be taking notes. You will hear me go quiet quite a bit in this, because you know how it is. You know how it is. It's you know, it's quite sharp. It feels quite young straight away. So, not knowing Nickname well enough, straight away I would be thinking this is either maybe young Ben Nevis, but on the nose, it doesn't feel like a huge ABV, so it definitely doesn't beat you around. I would almost immediately discount the Long Row Red for that. So I'm actually going to make a note of that, because as we know, this is sort of the way sometimes, if you can't get there by knowing, at least eliminate what you do know. So I'm going to say Long Row Red. No. It could also be Bimber. So there's sort of 3 suggestions straight away. I would nearly discount Glenfarclas, because I know that Glenfarclas is predominantly ex-sherry, and I don't get a sherry hint on this at all. It's quite sharp. Sorry, I did notice, and I knew, I sort of, Greg just saying that to Luna Aaron, happy birthday to you, Luna, because I know it was yours recently as well. So there's quite a few around in November. Yeah, that's quite sharp. So certainly take out the Long Row and take out the Glenfarclas for that. So at least that brings it down to 1 and 4 for this first one. Sharp, I'm going to say young-ish, which would take out the Bushmills as well, I suppose. So, Whiskey with Molly's in. Ben, how are you, my friend? Yeah, I mean, as Greg's saying, that's what I'm working. This is probably what's going to save me tonight, is a couple of things. 1, age. 2, that Glenfarclas. I know if it's in there, I'll be looking for sherry. The Long Row Red, if it's in there, I'll be looking for that peated and even a winey thing off it. So yeah, this is quite sharp. So there's two I've discounted. So I'll leave that for now and move on. Drew from Arizona is in. Drew, my friend, how are you? And I'm going to move on to number 2. As you can see. Oh, now that is an interesting note. Connor Smith's in. Connor, good evening, my friend. That is quite possibly the Glenfarclas, because there's a very, very, very sharp but sherried feel. Yeah, it's not that immediate. What I would say the trappings, the usual trappings of sherried whiskey, of that immediate fruit cake and all the dried fruit, etc. It's slightly sharper. I'm thinking that it's that ABV that's pulling it up, but the age is then leveling it out a bit. So yeah, I can't. Yet again, I would discount the long row for that one, because I can't. There's no peat there at all. So I would discount that. I'll take that one out of it. I would happily take out the Bushmills. So if I can eliminate at least 2 on each of these, I'm quite happy. At least it's a good way to go. I think it's getting me somewhere. I was initially going to do this and ask my wife to pick 10 and pour 5, but I thought it would be a bit a bit much, especially being a while since I've done a blind tasting. Ben's saying there's a good chance. He's pretty sure it could be, Ben. Could be. As I said, I actually don't, and I asked my wife specifically not to write down who sent them, because I have it. It'll be written. I have it written on the samples now. I simply asked her not to write, because I have an idea of some of them who may have sent me them. I have an idea that Stuart sent me the Long Row Red. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't affect it, but it just, I was trying to take out as many as possible. I also, and I'll maybe try this at a different time, I was going to ask her to throw in a curveball and maybe and just pour one, just grab a bottle out of the cabinet and pour one of my favorites. No, Ben, it didn't spoil anything. Even if you sent me it still doesn't matter. I don't know any different. I'm not putting my money on number 2 being the Glenfarclas, because I've never had Ben Nevis, which seems to be quite the shock to most of you. But I'm discounting a lot of the rest of them, which I think makes me think that possibly number 2 is the Ben Nevis. So number 3, let's see. Let's get the nose in for the first time. Number 3. Oh, that's very soft and subtle and creamy. That's just literally nose down into it. Soft, creamy caramel. Oh, that's good. I have no idea what that is, but it's good, whatever it is. It calms down very quickly. but whatever it is, it's good. This is good. I think this one's going to be the hardest one of the three out of the three of these, and picking out of those six to figure out. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yet again. What can I discount? I'm going to discount the Glenfarclas in this one. I think it's too soft. Now, the thing is, all of these are, barring the McNeil, are all pretty, I'm looking around, yeah, are all pretty high AB. Well, they're all high ABV. So, Greg's just pointed that out. I wasn't getting a massive difference, Greg, in the ABV in all of them. Not yet. Certainly not in the nose just yet. This is soft, buttery. Whiskey Works Graham's saying no McConnell's for Kerpel. The reason he says that is when we were out a couple of months back with Bud Jenkins and co, it was either Graham or Neil brought back a McConnell's 5-year-old to the table. And yet again, it was just and set these glasses down. None of us knew what it was. And we were all actually McConnell's are a new Belfast distillery. And we were all very impressed about how clean this was and how good a whiskey it was for. Now, even at 5 years old, I think it's all bought in. I think they're still selecting from other made distilleries, but Drew from AZ has just added to the bottle fund. Drew, thank you very much, my friend. I hope Mrs. Novice gets a good chuckle from this. Mrs. Novice, I was very glad of her for her doing this. At the end of the day, I'm drinking on a Monday evening, so I don't know about this one. This one here is a tester. I see 3 potential close profiles. Just theoretically, I think they are and they aren't, Greg. They are and they aren't. And I think as I go along and maybe I'm going to add water. I'm starting to think now that number 3 is possibly the Bushmills. Discounted the Glenfarclas. It's soft, it's creamy, it's buttery, it's toffee. So there'll be a lot of what you're getting from that Bushmills, classic Bushmills spirit anyway. Right, I haven't singled that down to a whole lot. 3 is going to be a tester. I thought 2 was maybe going to be the heart, although 2 might be the one that'll. Right, let's go back to 1, shall we? 1 is oaky. 1 is young, fresh oak. There's a lot of fresh oak in that. I wonder, is 1 the Bimber? So let's get in and see. That's the first dram we've had today too, so it maybe doesn't help. Maybe I should have warmed up. It's sharp. There's not an awful lot going on in the palate. If this isn't the nickname at 46%, which I don't know, it could be. If it's not the nickname, I think it's the Bimber. for two reasons. One, it's got that oak. It's got a lot of oak going on. I haven't had enough experience with McLean to know how oaky their whiskey is. But this is oaky. It feels young. It feels fresh, clean. It is actually clean. It's got a nice clean palate and clean finish. And it's not overly potent. So it's, yeah. Sorry, I've just seen this from Erin's Al's daughter, and I think she appreciates my channel, and I appreciate I appreciate that, Al. Cheers, my friend. Yeah, it's pleasant enough. Quite gentle. Don't know that I would rush out to buy a bottle of it. Goes a bit dry in the end. I don't think this is high ABV. I don't. And if it's higher than 50%, which most of these are, then it's well hidden. It's very well hidden. So I'm actually going to write down my suggestion. I actually think that one, is either Bimber. So it's definitely not Longrow or Glenfarclas. I know that. So I think it's either Bimber or Nickname. I don't think it's the Bushmills. It doesn't taste like an Irish single malt. If it's Ben Nevis, and if it's Ben Nevis, then if it's Ben Nevis, then they've definitely hidden that 58.9% very well. What has amazed me already and what's thrown me is that it's obviously only 3 of these. What I'm actually going to do with that number 1 is add a little water now and let it settle a moment. I'll just give it a wee drop and let it settle and see if it does anything for it, and go back on to number 2, which I thought was Glenfarclas. All one word. I still do. It's definitely sherried. Oh. Now, I've had a few Glenfarclas offerings, and now actually, I was going to say that this doesn't really play. Oh, this tastes like there's a finish on it. It really does. It's incredibly strong blackcurrant at the end of this. I don't want to Google this because I'm chatting to you lot. Could anybody for me right now, just out of curiosity, see if they can find that bottle, the Glenfarclas 12-year-old, and see if there's a finish on it, or if it was, or what the maturation is on it? I know I'm cheating a bit by doing that. It's obviously sherry, because I think the majority of the Glenfarclas is all sherry. I don't think from memory, but this just tastes like as if it's been finished in something other than, or it doesn't taste like there's a full sherry maturation on it. It's still, yeah. Ben's saying that it is, if this is the Glenfarclas, it's 12 years full sherry maturation. Could be, could still be. I can't think of any of the rest of these having sherry maturation on them. So I imagine it can only be the Glenfarclas. 49.4%. It certainly does have a nice crisp grab with it at the end. It's not by any way short or flighty. It just, it does. It hangs around. And gets better and better with every sip. I'm actually almost going to put my money on 2 being the Glenfarclas. It's not the Long Row. It's not. I was just about to say it's not the Bushmills, but and Greg, I know there are certainly. I knew there was ex-bourbon Glenfarclas, but predominantly, I think they are. So look, I'm going to add a wee bit of water to that. I'm almost convinced that's the Glenfarclas. I'll add a little bit more actually because it feels as if it needs a bit of breaking up, that one. Lord knows, Whiskey with Molly Ben is shaking his fist at me right now. I go, no, don't do that. So let's go back to number 3, which was throwing me. And I go back in, and the first thing I do is nose it, and the first thing I get is that creamy toffee. Yeah, and I think it's even better than the last time. There is oak there, and it's a good rich oak. So I suppose to a certain extent you could suggest there's the Malaga thing is going on in there. It's a good nose. It's a good nose. That it's very round. It's almost it is oaky, but it's almost there's almost a meaty thing going on in it as well. Let's see what this tastes like. Yeah. Oh, very dry at the end. Very dry. Did I see somebody earlier on suggest that Ben Nevis goes dry very quick? I'm digging in here. I do read the comments. Maybe I'm wrong, but I swear, and I think even perhaps somebody suggested it too, that I'll get a puff of smoke from the Ben Nevis. And I sort of wish I hadn't read that, because now I think I've maybe convinced myself that I'm getting a puff of smoke on it. And yeah, Ben's saying that that's first fill Oloroso, but for 5 years. So it could be, as Stuart says, that the Malaga wine is I imagine that wine cask would be quite drying. I imagine so. So I discounted the Glenfarclas for this third one when I did my initial pass, and I would still, it's 2. If this is Oloroso, if what I'm drinking here, see, this is the thing, Ben's. There's another one. I need to stop reading these because this is throwing me. Another one now that Stuart, cards on the table, mate. Say it how it is. And you could be 100% right. As a matter of fact, I'm going to write that suggestion down now while I remember. Because otherwise I'll go back later on looking for them. So, yeah, you could be right. You could be right. I don't know. I'll have to go back to 2 now, because is it the Ben Nevis? Is it? 1, right, was either nickname and I sort of agree with you, Stuart, that I think 1 is either nickname or the Ben Nevis. No, sorry, nickname or the Bimber. Mm. Mm. Oh, that's good. That is good. Goes dry really quick. Really does. Who did I see? Billy saying, I agree. I would expect that sort of Billy. I would. Thing being, of course, that yellow spot being that lovely, rich, creamy single pot still carries that sweetness off in its own way. So yeah, I would say you're probably right. The sweetness would be there. If I was looking, I don't think the Bushmills is in here now. I'm starting to almost convince myself that this isn't the Bushmills. It's a really rich, creamy nose. So I'm sort of starting to think it is out of the Ben Nevis, because it's only 5 years, right? 5 years ex Oloroso cast. It's not going to have a massive effect. Even first fill, I would have thought. It's not going to really over oak in 5 years. So if you're working with a good bold spirit, then 5 years of even good active casks could probably just balance it out well, like this maybe is. Lee J saying the water help 1. I haven't got back to 1 yet. I'm stuck in 3, and I'm really scared I'm almost scared to water 3. But I'm gonna, because that's just the kind of crazy fella I am. I want to do it with all of them. I want to see if I can get them to open up and give me something more. You'll notice I'm not cleansing my palate in between. There's a very good reason for that. I forgot to bring water with me. That simple. But I'm gonna wing it. If I can get 1 of these, if I can get 1, I'll be happy. So water's in 1. It's still young, whatever it is. There's a new oak, that new oak thing on it that I don't really like. Yeah, it's very much new oak, I would suggest. So I'm still leaning toward either nickname or Bimber for the first one. The reason why I'm still leaning more toward Bimber is because it just feels like a higher ABV than 46%. If I don't get, what I will say is, I'll even be pleased with myself if, say, for example, I said that I thought the first one was Bimber, but if it's not, I think it's nickname. Even if I got that, I'll be happy. I'll be pleased. Ben's asking, do I get any grass on the nose? Well, I suppose, see, it depends. For the simple fact that a lot of us maybe, when we say we smell, because grass to me is a real sweet thing. It's very good, Sturt. Very good. It's me, not you, we're talking about here. it's too oaky, too much of that new oak for me. I don't know if there's virgin oak used in any of these. Well, obviously, obviously there's runs that you could discount, but right, I still know what I could discount. I think it is Bimber. I'm gonna suggest we're only 40 minutes in here, so we've got a while yet. It's not a panic. I didn't say there was a time limit on it. Lee J. Brown says he finds chocolate in all the Bimbers. On the nose, Lee J? Or would it be more so in the palate? See, yet again, this is the thing with all of us having our own idea of what, yeah. Well, Ben's also suggesting a hint of chocolate on the palate, so maybe he's angling toward the Bimber. Is there? Is there chocolate? Am I getting chocolate? I don't know whether I am or not. To be honest, what I will say is, whichever one of these six it is, I wouldn't buy it. I don't think. I wouldn't be overly enamored by it. Very good, Frank. That's very good, my friend. Mm. No, I'm going, right. I am going to sign that one off, right? And say that I think number one, so remember this, is Bimber. So I will put it in big letters on my piece of paper here, spelling it wrong already. It's all one word, I would imagine. And I'll say that I think number one is Bimber. Could be wrong, could be wrong. So Ben is going, let's see, this was Stuart. And so Ben's put his cards on the table. This is incredible that you guys are actually guessing, considering you're just basing this on me, on what I'm saying. So where did I see it? Yes, he also thinks that number one is the Amuse. Number two, the Ben Nevis, which is what Stuart said, and number three, the Bimber, which I would be highly surprised at. If number three is the Bimber, I'd buy it all day long. I'll say that straight out there. So let's go back to number two. So if it's not the Bimber, if number one's not the Bimber, my second choice is the nickname. There, I will hang my coat on that. So number two is back to that. Well, you were all sort of thinking the Ben Nevis, and I don't know. I just think there's two. I haven't had Ben Nevis. It's probably got me it's definitely got me at a disadvantage. See, Billy's saying, yeah, I think the long row is definitely out of this. I haven't got smoke, certainly enough smoke in any of these to suggest. Now, the Ben Nevis, I know you guys are saying is ex Oloroso. See, it's late into the palate and the finish that makes me think that it's not Glenfarclas. That would be the only thing that would put me off. But I know I've had a water to this. I still don't think This is as strong as 58.9%. And if it is, it's well played down. And Stuart's asking so I'm not getting dunnage. So no. See, you guys now have played me into this Ben Nevis thinking this might be the Ben Nevis. So it could well be, having not had Ben Nevis. And since you've told me that it is XL, or it's ex Oloroso maturation, this could be young. It could be a 5-year whiskey. It could be. There's a that got better. That got better with the addition of water. It really rounded off the end of the palate. It's brought some real strong orange notes into the. Ben's just asking, is there orange zest in the palate? Yes, very much so. So you're going to tell me now that this is the Glenfarclas, are you? Because that it was the Glenfarclas I think you sent me. Definitely orange in that palate, right? And it comes and keeps coming. There's a hint of it's almost like polish initially, but then it becomes about that orange zest, and it's a real good, nice. The long row. The long row. Couldn't be the long row. There's no smoke on it. This is see here it's saying it's the Glenfarclas, so that's very good. It took the water. Definitely took the water. See, the only stronger Glenfarclas I've had was the 105, and I've had a couple in the distillery. He's definitely pulling my leg. Definitely pulling my leg. And only after I read it, Ben did that. Yep. But the fact that you knew there was orange in there and orange chocolate. Oh, sorry, I picked the wrong one there. It's just saying the 105 is overrated. I could understand why you think it's overrated, Stuart. I genuinely could. It took me a while to acclimate to it. It's not great on first pass, I don't think, and it takes a while to come around to. But it's one for now and again, I think. It's one for now and again. It's not certainly one I would consider drinking a lot. You know what? I haven't had the Ben Nevis. I have had Glenfarclas. I have had a few Glenfarclas. So I'm going to just say that I think number 2 is the Glenfarclas. And if it's not, then the Ben Nevis. What I will have to do, if it's not the Ben Nevis, is go try me some Ben Nevis. Because they were practically shouting earlier. It was practically shouting. I look forward to coming back to this. Still slightly concerned about getting into this serving because 1 and 2, I say concerned, you know, 3 is definitely the best nose. 3 is the best nose among these. Easy. It's lovely. It's just creamy and yeah. What do we reckon 3 was? I'm struggling with 3. It's still that real creamy thing because there's nothing on this list that I've had experience of that this reminds me of. And adding water has just made it feel an awful lot stronger. It's just, on the palate, it's really, really ramped up. So if there is a higher ABV with it, I'm getting it now, which is strange. This always amazes me, that a whiskey can feel soft on the palate, bottle that 50 point something percent, and you add a touch of water and it just explodes. I know the science behind it. I understand why it happens, but it just still, I think it's a beautiful thing. It amazes me. And this is why I'll always suggest water, to always try it, just for shits and giggles. Oh. Ben saying that was limited to 250 bottles. I don't know. As I say, I haven't. I know it's there, so I'll give it a go at some point if this isn't it. Billy's saying it could be the Bimber. I mean, it could be. It actually could be. It's a while since I've had Bimber. It could be, and it could prove me very wrong. But I don't know that it feels that young. It feels like as if, and it feels like as if there's something else going on here. So I'm still, as much as I sort of discounted it earlier, hey Graham, you know. The good old faithful. Yep, you are 100% right. I'm starting to think that there is actually a finish on this, or a different maturation, should I say. It's either very good spirit, finished relatively simply. So I'm talking here the Bimber, or say finished, matured relatively simply, or it's older whiskey matured with something else. So as much as I actually almost discounted the Bushmills earlier, I'm sort of pulling it back in. But there is sherry in there as well. So I've got Ben Nevis down here. Greg, I'm going to say that 3 is my favorite, without knowing what they are. 1, I wouldn't buy. 2 is quite relatively familiar to me, in that, it's a sharp sherried whiskey. So, I would drink it, certainly, whatever it is. Don't know that I would reach for it all the time. 3 is definitely my favorite. So it'll be interesting. I'm desperately interested to know what they are myself, because that's what I love about blind challenges. And I definitely think the next time I do this, I'll do it with 10 and 5. I'll get the wife to to pick out 10 and pour 5 of them. Right. No. 3, I'm going to say, is Ben Nevis, because hanging back on that, well, I sort of had it written down there, but hanging back on that palate, the more it sits with me, the more it settles, the more it does feel like it feels like a young whiskey with a sherry of some shape or form. So somebody said earlier it's ex Oloroso. So right before I open, let's pull that down a wee second and open up so you can see the answer sheet. It's my choices or the order I would actually put them in for my choice. What suits my palate best would be number 3 would be my favorite of them easily. Number 2 would be my second, and number 1 I could drink, but I wouldn't buy. It wouldn't be in my sort of profile. Drum roll, please, Stuart. Come on, let's hear it. There we go. It's like the auspice all over again. So I hate this bit. I genuinely hate this bit because it can make a prat out of you very easily. Right. I was completely wrong, apart from, well, I got one. Just looking at them, and I'm really surprised. Number 1 was the nickname. So let's go back to that. Now, remember, we did say, or I did say, that if it wasn't the Bimber, I thought it was the nickname. So I'm gonna claim the points for that. 2 is the biggest surprise of them all for me here. 2 is the Bushmills. I'm really surprised at that. I would have said that was. I would have said that's sherry cask all day long. It still does not taste like an Irish whiskey. Really doesn't. I'm going to have to question other people. 3, I was actually correct. It is the Ben Nevis. And yeah, I'm well pleased that I like it. So there you go. I've had Ben Nevis for the first time. And as Stuart said, I now know how good Ben Nevis is, and I do, and I can understand why everybody was raving about it. See, this is the problem, Doc. You know, blind tastings leaves you wide open. Paul Gibbs is in on a quick tea break. Good to see you, Paul. So what I've learned is that I like Ben Nevis. I'm really surprised at Bushmills. Never would have thought for one second. Nickname, no, I wouldn't rush out. As I say, I've only had, I think, only tried the first one. So, maybe I've got an idea. I'll change my name to, where did I see that? Daniel, I changed my name to Whiskey Nevis. There we go. Couldn't miss that one. Really surprised at the second one. But that Ben Nevis, love it. And she asked me to, that's what it was. She poured them, and because you can't see through the black Glencairns, she says, I hope that's enough for you. But she hadn't poured the full samples. And I said, no, pour the full sample, because it'll take me a while to figure out what. Now, some of these samples were bigger than others. But, but yeah, no, Ben Nevis, yeah, 100%. Could anybody tell me while I'm in, because it's just seen there, Stuart said, the nickname just been, I would agree with you there, mate. What way that batch 2 is matured and what sort of age it is, because I would have said that has to be New Oak, Virgin Oak, or something. No, and the thing is, 46%. It's not. It doesn't feel that strong. Well, it just feels more peppery or something that comes with New Oak. So, is this the nickname, Ben, that we're discussing? The spirit is filled into shaved, toasted, and recharred red wine barrels and ex-bourbon casks specifically. Shaved, toasted, and recharred barrels. If that's the nickname, it would probably make sense. Yeah, yeah. So, well, there you are. That makes sense. It needs. I don't know. It certainly wouldn't be my first choice. So I wouldn't. So that was the dram can. What do we think of the dram can? It gives you the idea of what's going on, doesn't it? Really, it's not doesn't really benefit things a whole lot, but you know. But yeah, this is still right. Ben Nevis, I like, and I can understand why people like it. I'm going to go back to two, which I am really, really shocked at. I would have said this was sherry cask matured all day long. So you can actually still get, well, I know, Doc, you can get whiskies that most of us can't, but €100. Well, for a 5-year-old, that's pretty. I think there are more using STR barrel methods than we probably know. In that, I was speaking to a couple of guys whenever I was over in Scotland in the summer, and I think it is used more than probably we know. That's the impression I get. This number two again, which was the Bushmills. It's an incredible finish on it. It really is. Whiskey friend Alan's in. How are you, my friend? There's an incredible finish on it. That Bushmills. I would definitely have said that this was I've said it again. I'll say it again. I would definitely have thought that was a sherry whiskey. But what do you know? Now, the thing that we'll learn from, and I think it's something that I'm going to wrap it up with and go and bury my head under a pillow somewhere. The thing that we learn from blind tastings, and I think this is the best part about them, is that it's what we learn what we like without being leaned on by a label, without being leaned on by a name. The palate then just tells you what you like and what you don't like, and it's a great thing. It's for me to have actually had or somebody sent me a bottle of that Ben Nevis or a sample of that Ben Nevis, which they did. It's very easy then to go along with the flow and go along with everybody else and say, yeah, Ben Nevis is great, so therefore I like it as well. This it's things like this that prove then what these whiskies, or how good these whiskies can be. Yet again, it's only me, but it's not only me, because Ben Nevis is being talked up by everyone. And just going in and tasting it like that, not knowing what it is, I can now understand why. I genuinely can. Nickname, you know, I can understand why Stuart described it earlier as being meh. I wouldn't rush out and buy it. This Bushmills, weirdly, knowing what it is, I still like it. I didn't, that maybe sounds a bit stupid. It's not a case of, oh, it's Bushmills, it's shite. It's, I had it in my head that it was Glenfarclas. It still doesn't taste like Bushmills to me. I'm not getting any of that. But remember that it's 1995. It does the sums quickly. It's a 26-year-old. No, yes, bottle of 53.5%, which Bushmills don't generally do. So it is bloody good stuff, and it begs the question why Bushmills don't do it more often. And I've said that before. Bottle at higher ABV, your spirit's good for it. Give it a good, give us all something that we can, and without charging the bloody earth for, because that's the problem. That it's all right to say, oh, here's a 1995 Malaga cask bottle of 53.5%. This went on the market, I think it went on the market at £400. And then obviously within, literally within a month, probably, a couple of weeks, hit the secondary market at double that price. So it's, give us something that we'll want, but don't charge the bloody earth for it. I know it's a 26-year-old whiskey. I know they're hard to come by. They are, but that's too much. That's making a thing rare, and you deciding that's rare. There's scotches out there for a lot less, an awful lot less. I'm going to hit the chat for a moment here just before I wrap up, and thank you very much for joining me, all of you. It was fun. It was scary, and as I said earlier, exciting, then trepidation, now regret. But I didn't think I was ever going to get it all right, but sure, you try it. And so let's see. I've seen a few things. Yes, Whiskey Straight Al says that was £400. Whiskey Wonder, sorry, Doc. Yeah, I've seen a few things saying that. Doc, Malaga and Sherry aren't that far apart. I should probably have known that, but it's just one of those things, isn't it? But I'm actually surprised just how, now you see, before I actually finish this, and because I don't have the box with me, what I'm going to do is, in my next James Money Malt samples, I will open that Glenfarclas to see what that's like. Whiskey Wonder, how do you like the Glenmorangie 10 there? Isn't it? Look, nothing wrong with it. It would still be one that I would introduce people to whiskey with. It's, there's damn all wrong with it. It still comes in a good price range. I quite like Glenmorangie. I recently opened the 18-year-old extra rare or very rare, whatever it is it's called, and it's down the bet. It's not rare at all. But I mean, wasn't overly priced, I would have said, for an 18-year-old. I just think it's actually, without reviewing it right here, right now, and having the ball right here, right now, I think it's a little over oaked. That's the 18-year-old. But no, certainly Glenmorangie, I would recommend. So Well, there's a good point, Luna. Perhaps Malaga casks are cheaper. It was, and the thing to remember is that was 1995. There's nobody can predict what way things are going to go that far out. It's certainly 26 years ago. There was no way, there was no one that single malt in the way it was would be booming. Did Bushmills ever think that in 1995 they didn't know that Casa Cuervo were going to be owned? We're going to own Casa Cuervo. So it's one of those things that you do. You put down that Malaga, that 1995 was there was quite a small release of them. It wasn't huge, so I think it was single cask. Fair enough. You take that cask, you sell on it, you hang on and see how it goes. But I just don't know. It's and I know that that's the other thing, that's something that we'll have to be very careful of. Rarity is not value. It's definitely not. Jeff, well, you're just going to have to watch the replay. It all went swimmingly, my friend, swimmingly. I mean, I nailed all three of them. Couldn't believe it. So here, look. You know what I'll do? I'll sign off with my favourite, the Ben Nevis. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I'm now right at the back of the palate. And I did say it earlier. It's not just suggestion that there is a puff of smoke just right at the very back of it. Yeah, there is. Lovely stuff. Listen, thank you all very, very much for joining me. That was good fun. I enjoyed it. I'll be back in December. I might try and fit in a couple in December, because maybe try that other blind challenge with 10-5. That'll be a fun night. That'll not be an hour-long session. We'll have to stretch that one out. So if you're free, I would appreciate it. But thank you very much for joining me tonight. That was good fun. I did enjoy that. That was I always find blind challenges interesting. I will be reaching out to someone who was within the chat tonight, because there's a couple of people I would love to have on, just for a friendly chat, just for still trying to put faces to names within the community. And most people know you by now, but I mean, I haven't had you on yet. So listen, thank you very much for joining me tonight. I really enjoyed that, and I will see you in December at some point. Thank you, my friends. Here's your good health. Cheers.